I think we're seeing a lot of these birth pangs that Jesus spoke of, but we're also seeing this alignment of Russia, Iran, Turkey, and other countries forming this alliance against Israel.
The atheists decided to investigate the origins of Israel's historic religions. What they discovered beneath the hallowed lands astounded both believers and non-believers alike. As history's layers are peeled away, questions about the sources of deeply held beliefs come up. Join us as we explore where the unexpected revelations challenge both believers and skeptics alike. Some atheists went on an interesting journey to challenge beliefs that many have followed for a long time. They used their thinking and questioning skills to try and understand things that have puzzled people for ages. During their journey, they went to new places and asked big questions about what they believed. They wanted to learn more, so they looked into ideas from science and how humans think. Their goal wasn't to prove religion wrong, but to ask if the things people believe are really true, without any assumptions. What they discovered was really surprising and amazed everyone. In their search, they found something that made people rethink what they knew. These people found a special pool in Jerusalem called the Pool of Siloam. This pool is important to Christians because it's mentioned in the Bible. The Pool of Siloam, sometimes known as the Pool of Shiloah in the ancient texts, has a long history connected to an old king of Judah, a famous speech, and one of the remarkable miracles performed by Christ. The name Siloam means sent, as mentioned in the book of John. In ancient times, some religious teachings identified the Pool of Siloam as a special place linked to the Messiah. This pool was incredibly important because it was the only source of fresh water available within the walls of the old city of Jerusalem. Around the 8th century BC, King Hezekiah constructed the Pool of Siloam. He wanted to make sure that Jerusalem would have a reliable water source even if the city came under siege. To achieve this, he built a tunnel that went through almost 2,000 feet of solid rock, starting from the Gihon Spring, which was also called the Virgin's Spring. This spring produced water that flowed roughly twice a day. It was situated on the eastern side of Jerusalem, outside the city walls, on a slope leading down to the Kidron Valley. King Hezekiah's tunnel was a passage he made to direct the water from the Gihon Spring to the pool. This pool was located in the southeastern part of the city, specifically in the Tyropian Valley. The original Pool of Siloam was roughly 53 feet long, 18 feet wide, and 19 feet deep. It was constructed using a combination of carved rock and masonry. Around 600 BC, the Babylonians destroyed Jerusalem along with the Pool of Siloam. After 70 years, Nehemiah took on the task of rebuilding the city's walls, and part of this restoration project included fixing the Pool of Siloam. Nehemiah 3:15 mentions Shallun, who was in charge of a section of Mizpah. He played a role in repairing the gate of the fountain, building and covering it, and installing doors, locks, and bars. The wall of the Pool of Siloam near the king's garden and the stairs leading down from the city of David were also part of this restoration. During the time of Herod the Great, there were further enhancements to the Pool of Siloam. The pool itself was made larger, and an impressive structure of arches, known as an arcade, was constructed around it. This arcade also divided the pool, creating separate areas for men and women. This improvement made it a place where disadvantaged and unwell individuals often came to take baths and find solace. However, it was during the period when Christ lived that the Pool of Siloam gained its most significant importance. Being close to the temple, the water from this pool held a special role in the Feast of Tabernacles ceremony. Every morning during the feast, a priest would carry a golden container to the Pool of Siloam, fill it with water, and then return to the altar amid the enthusiastic cheers of the people. While the crowd recited Psalms 113 to 118, known as the Hallel, one priest poured the water on the western side of the altar, while another poured wine as an offering on the eastern side. This ritual symbolized a verse from the book of Isaiah, which goes, "With joy you will draw water from the wells of salvation." However, on the last and 8th day of the feast, the customary ritual was not carried out. Curiously, it was precisely at this moment that Jesus decided to make a significant statement. He stood up and proclaimed, on the last day, the climax of the festival, Jesus stood and shouted to the crowds, "Anyone who is thirsty may come to me. Anyone who believes in me may come and drink. For the scriptures declare, rivers of living water will flow from his heart." This is mentioned in John 7:37 to 38. Exactly on the day when the pouring of water didn't happen, Jesus took this opportunity to step in. The water that Jesus offers symbolizes the Holy Spirit, as mentioned in verse 39. This gift surpasses the waters of Siloam in its significance. By offering the water of life, Jesus connected himself to the rock in the wilderness that provided water for the Hebrews, as explained in 1 Corinthians 10, 1-4. In another incident from the book of John, chapter 9, Jesus encounters a man who was born blind. In order to demonstrate that he is truly the light of the world, Jesus performs a miraculous healing for this man. Interestingly, Jesus chose an unconventional method for healing. He spat on the ground, mixed saliva with the dirt to create mud, and then applied it to the man's eyes. Jesus instructed the man to go and wash in the pool of Siloam. The blind man followed Jesus' command, washed in the pool, and miraculously gained his sight. This event illustrates the concept of being sent. The blind man was directed to a pool named Sent, alluding to Jesus being sent by God into the world, as highlighted in verses such as John 3:17 and 10:36. Archaeologists have uncovered the location of the original Pool of Siloam through excavations. While a pool still exists at that site, it no longer possesses the grandeur it once held. Nevertheless, we have the accounts from the Bible that describe the significance of the Pool of Siloam. This place served as a gathering point for kings, priests, and notably, even for the Messiah himself. The Pool of Siloam excavation project is happening in Jerusalem Walls National Park. The City of David Foundation is paying for it. This foundation helps with different things like education, tourism, and finding old things underground. They also buy land in East Jerusalem. They want to make a Jewish community in a place where Palestinians live now. In 2019, people dug up an old place in the City of David, which was the first Jewish town in Jerusalem. They found Pilgrim's Road there. Pilgrim's Road goes from the Pool of Siloam to the western wall near Temple Mount. But this causes problems because some of this area is in a Palestinian village called Silwan. About 40,000 people live there on a hill. Around 100 years after Jesus was born, lots of Jewish people and other visitors used Pilgrim's Road to get to the temple. They did this during 3 big Jewish holidays: Passover in the spring, Shavuot 50 days later, and Sukkot in the fall. All Jewish men had to go to the temple at these times and give things as offerings. The Pilgrim's Road is a big pathway with wide dimensions and large stone paving pieces that are 25 feet wide. It was the main way for people to walk from the Pool of Siloam, where they would clean themselves in a special way. To go up 700 yards to the temple for worship, they had to dig from the pool and then underground through the busy Silwan neighborhood to find a hidden set of stairs. The archaeologists had many hard things to deal with while doing this work. They had to put strong steel beams regularly to make the ceiling strong above them. This was really important because they were digging like a tunnel under the modern streets and houses. Doran Spielman, who was in charge of the City of David Foundation, said that finding the Pilgrim's Road was a very important discovery with big meaning from the Bible. Unlike normal digging that starts from the top, they dug from underneath the modern Jerusalem. They used special cameras with cables to know where to dig, and old maps and drawings made by archaeologists over 150 years helped a lot. The Pool of Siloam has a long history of more than 150 years, which makes it a very important place for archaeology and history. In 1880, they found something called the Siloam inscription on the wall inside the water tunnel that goes to the Pool of Siloam. This old writing in Hebrew is now in a museum in Turkey. It talks about how they built the tunnel by digging from both sides until they met in the middle. The Canaanite Tunnel, also known as the Siloam Tunnel, is a very important place in Jerusalem. It's like a special tunnel that helps water go from the Gihon Spring to the Pool of Siloam. This tunnel is not only important for controlling water, but it also has a big role in history and religion. Back in the Iron Age, which was around the 8th century BC, people built this tunnel to make sure the city had enough water. The Canaanite Tunnel is really meaningful for both Judaism and Christianity because of religion. It connects to the past and shows that people believed in God taking care of them. The fact that the tunnel goes to the Pool of Siloam, where an important Christian miracle happened, makes it even more holy. From a technical side, the tunnel is an amazing achievement. It's about 533 meters long and was carved out of solid rock. This shows how clever and skilled people were in the past. They used very few tools to build it, and two groups of diggers had to work together and meet in the middle. This tells us that they planned and organized really well. The Canaanite Tunnel is a fantastic place to learn about the past because it has old writing called the Siloam writing. This writing is one of the oldest of its kind, and it shows us the language and history of that time. Apart from its religious and historical importance, the tunnel shows how strong and adaptable people can be. It tells us about the problems our ancestors faced and how they solved them to save resources, keep their community safe, and protect the world. In the 1890s, a group of archaeologists from Britain and America led by F.J. Bliss and A.C. Dickey continued to dig in the tunnel and found some of the steps of the Pool of Siloam. Later, another archaeologist named Kathleen Kenyon also did more digging there and found more steps. Then in 2004, while fixing a sewage line, the Jerusalem Gihon Water Company accidentally found more steps in the pool. This made the Israeli Antiquities Authority start a careful dig led by Professor Ronnie Reich and Eli Shakron. They uncovered more parts of the northern and eastern sides of the pool. Eli Shakron was part of another important discovery connected to the pool. In 2007, they found a tablet with writing that had the name of King Hezekiah on it. Shakron and Professor Gershon Galil from Haifa University in Israel figured out what it said. The writing talks about the first 17 years of Hezekiah's rule and the good things he did, like building the tunnel that goes to the Siloam pool. These discoveries strongly suggest that the stories in the Book of Kings come from texts written a long time ago, like historical records and official writings. This shows that the Bible's history is real. The Pool of Siloam is very wide, about 225 feet, and it has steps on 3 sides. People who visit can sit there and even get in the water. The pool was built in different stages because it was important. They fixed and made it bigger during the late Second Temple time. The big features of the Pilgrim's Road that goes to the pool were made over about 10 years and were finished around AD 30. The Roman governor Pontius Pilate, who is famous for deciding to crucify Jesus, oversaw this work. At that time, the Pool of Siloam became its largest size, covering around 1.25 acres and becoming the main water source for the city. Even though they've learned a lot from digging, there's still much more to do to uncover all of this historically important pool. Back when Jesus lived, the Pool of Siloam was very important. It had really nice stones on the ground and was used as a special bath for religious cleansing called a mikveh. Many people on a religious journey would stop there to clean themselves before they kept going on the Pilgrim's Road. This special thing that happened at the Pool of Siloam showed how powerful Jesus was as a healer. It also showed that Jesus called himself the light of the world. This story was like proof of the amazing things God could do and showed how important Jesus' mission on earth was. That's all for today's video. If you find this video interesting, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. Until next time, keep watching.